It's extremely difficult to watch a helpless animal suffer. You know that they don't understand what's happening to them and that they're looking to you for help. And yet sometimes help is nearly impossible.
I knew that if she hung there long enough, that something was going to give. Either she was going to suffocate, or I was going to have to shoot her because she was suffering. I had to cut the saddle off because I could see she was struggling with that too. It was pulling on her chest.
Earlier that day, Joe had saddled up his horse, Tuffy, and rode into the small town of Gloucester, Ohio, to deliver some eggs. Then, to avoid traffic on the way home, he decided to cross the railroad trestle, and it was here that tragedy struck.
There's a mule farm right there next to the railroad track, and whenever you go by there on a horse, the mules start calling out, especially when there's females involved. When we got to the bridge, Tuffy heard the mule bray. That excited her. She bolted. I jumped off of her, and when I did, she lowered her head and dropped the bit out of her mouth, and then she just went on across the trestle and fell. Got wedged between the side rail and the track. There was a fellow back about 200 feet or so working in his yard, and I yelled for him to get some help, but the horse was caught on the bridge. And there wasn't anything I could do until I got some more help.
Luckily, the neighbor wasted no time in calling 911.
We received a call that a gentleman had been injured falling from a horse on this trestle. When we responded and arrived, we found that the rider had in fact not been injured in the incident.
And I go, no, I'm not hurt, it's the horse. And then they go, well, we've never been on a horse run before, so what are we going to do?
We really wasn't sure what to do. We'd never been in that situation before. It's not something that you rehearse or not something that you train to do. It's just kind of by the seat of your pants, try to figure out what to do.
It's about 20 feet from the edge of the trestle, from the rails down to the bottom of the creek.
The leg was in between two pieces of metal. It was under one piece and over top of another, and it was hanging from one leg across its femur, which looked very painful.
Her respirations were extremely labored. She was wheezing. There was blood dripping from her nose.
I told him that we needed to get her elevated so she could kick that leg out.
And so the group got together and brainstormed, came up with a plan.
The plan included lifting the horse by means of ropes attached to a manual winch called a come-along.
We were hoping that if we could pull her laterally, that she would be able to kick that left hind leg out, and then she would be free. We knew that we could not get her back up through the hole in that trestle. There's just no way. This mare weighed 1,500 pounds, and it was a very, very small opening that she fell through. Unfortunately, the come-along broke free and fell into the creek below. We had to come up with another plan.
I know it was hurting her, and it was hurting me to see her that way, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. I told her just to hold on. We were doing what we could. Just hang on a while longer.
We figured the best thing to do was get a rope around the horse in some way. And everybody get on and just like more or less a big tug of war, just pull on it and try to pull the horse up enough that it could kick loose.
Okay, that's good.
We made a little harness, and then a bunch of people got on the rope.
everybody started lining up to get ready to pull this horse out. I run back to the end because all the front spots was taken, and we started pulling, and then all of a sudden that horse kicked, and she started falling. And at that time, I still had a hold of the rope when it started taking off. I had it wrapped around my arm, and zzz, burning my bicep at the time. I let go, and that's when we heard the big splash.
It appeared that she was going to fall nose first, but when the rope became entangled in Ron's arm, just for a moment, it pulled her head up and laid her laterally so that she fell right on her side in the water. Couldn't have laid her down there any better.
She was standing up on all fours, everybody's really happy and started hollering.
Yeah, she's favoring that left arm.
She was disoriented, and it took her a couple minutes to get her wits about her to get out of the water. And then she walked right out.
Miraculously, Tuffy's only injuries during her long ordeal were a laceration on her right rear calf and minor damage to her hooves. And days later, back on the farm, she was making remarkable progress.
Tuffy's doing real well these days. Her foot's growing, and the leg wound is just about totally healed, and we're able to ride her on soft ground. And she's getting fat and sassy. It does have a happy ending. The horse is still with us, and she's still part of the family.